I'm busier than a high-priced whore at an electronics convention. Right now, I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, for the annual folk festival in Jelly-Off. I'm supposed to be judging art, etc. Who are you? What do you want about? Come on.
Well, I'm Old Swerdlow, and this is the Ozark Mountain tradition, the song story.
I'll decide what it's called, old. Just make with the art.
Well, all righty. Let's get Limberlegs on up there. Oh, Limberlegs went walking down to old Miller's Creek, and when he saw that big old cow, he jumped back in the sink. Oh, Limberlegs, where you going?
All right, now stop that, old, stop it. I'm very sorry you had to see this, folks. Now, Mr. Limberlegs ain't wearing no clothes. I find myself to be aroused and titillated by all this.
Well, Senator, this is a tradition as old as a Georgia sunset.
Shut up, old. David, you see what I have to contend with? I got a naked puppet doing a lewd, lascivious fandango on the lap of a full-grown man. I got women over here dipping candles. Fella over there, he's got a butter churner. It's like a pioneer pawn shop in here. Close it down, boys. Close them down.
Senator, you're getting a little No, well, that's my Limberleg.
And another thing, Vonnegut, I'm going to stop payment on a check. What's that? Fuck me. Hey, Kurt, you read lips? Fuck you! Next time I'll call Robert Ludlam.
Well, I've been working on a thing. It's sort of like Stummies.
Go on. I like what I hear so far.
It's exactly like Stummies.
And the twist is?
It's a much bigger pill.
I like a lot. Is it ready for production?
Yes, sir. It's ready to go.
Yeah, but have there been any side effects?
Yes, sir. A few side effects.
Well, that's okay. As long as there's no flipper babies, right, Don?
Well, there have been a few flipper babies.
Look, I like cream pies as much as the next guy. Oh, don't say it out loud. Oh, okay. Let me make a cream pie for you, okay? Then you can try it. See what you think. I do not want to taste your cream pie. They taste great. I can guarantee it.
You've tasted yours?
Of course I have. Haven't you?
No.
I've tasted mine. I didn't like it.
I've tasted mine, yeah.
I liked mine.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. For everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and it's full of them. We're gonna start with high chops. Just watch this chorus step.
Whether you're a brother or whether you're about to west, staying alive, staying alive. Feel the city shaking, everybody breaking out, staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive.
Fantastic comics, so fun you've got it.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fantastic Comics Presents. Tonight, it is our 103rd episode. We air every Tuesday at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. Some say the best coast. It rhymes. And you have wisely tuned out from all the other things that people normally would be viewing at this moment to join us tonight here in chat. Or maybe, just possibly, I see the numbers. There are times people tune in afterwards, and I say welcome. In fact, I often say this.
Sup?
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 Hello.
What's up?
Fantinuum was here early, and he wanted to make sure that we all know that he was not sleeping. And in the other room is Jill saying hello in between house commercials, I think. Ryan Hudson's here. Can't rush greatness. Ryan, this is true. And when people are ready, more like when I'm ready, there will be a video of you and me discussing Kazar the Savage, issues 1 through 5, which were collected. And yeah, I don't want to. That's a good enough tease. Hold on, people, it's coming. And if you can't rush greatness as far as starting a show, you should listen to us try and get to a point. But it should be pretty fun. Yes, Jill. Swearing time limit is out. I'm sorry. Every once in a while there's a clip that just has to be played. I've never played it for the show, and it's the great Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, if he can't be swearing, who? Come on. Whoa, LK. Hey, it has been a while. How you doing? Did you see that 49er game? Boy, they almost gave that up. Or do you not care? I was in the store watching the game while I was helping customers, and it was a good day. I am not a 49er fan though. Moby, this show is what's happening right now, and that's right. And if you are the kind of person that wants to share, there's a way to do it. It's down there. It says share. And if you're coming upon this show for the first time and don't know what it is, we'll get into that in just a moment. But, once I explain it, and once you're like, wow, that's different, you might want to subscribe to the channel. If you just run across this for the first time, hit the bell for notifications. And if you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up. You might as well, because the thumbs down, only I'll see it. And it really, unless you take some sort of satisfaction in that, I can understand, but I so rarely go on over there. A like is just as good. I was watching. They should have lost, but holy cow. That second half was crazy. Like the 49ers just didn't want to win it, and Dallas wanted to win it even less. But, football, playoff football, everybody. It's pretty exciting. There was a third day of football for the first round, and I can't believe I haven't lived my life like that, when I cared. And, I was paying attention to it. It's pretty fun. The poor Raiders. But, in the same way you could say Cincinnati is the same type of thing. Poor Cincinnati, but they won. Attaboy. and thus endeth the sports talk. If, as you can tell, I sound a little different, and I had a big old sneezing fit before we started. I am an old man now, and that happens in the morning and in the evening, and sometimes in between. I am not sick. I am not arguing with anybody about it. It's just a fact. The old nasal passages get all funky. And I remember always laughing at my parents, but especially my mom. She was a big, sniffler. She still is, I'm sure, but I don't live around it, so I don't know. And she was much younger at that time also. So, you kind of, sometimes I wake up at night with a cramp in my foot. It's often a cramp in my foot. That I get up and I'm like, oh God, I'm like, am I gonna have to be living another 30 or 40 years doing the same stuff? Or do you just like sit in bed and like, I'm sick of it? Either way, it's coming back. I don't care anymore. But man, these cramps, woo, they're really smart. I talked to my mom the other day. She had COVID, Omicron, but her and my father are better now. So take that to the bank. I'm going to be sharing my picture in a moment. I have some things I want to share with you. For those of you that are new here, this is not just a show about a dude talking about anything but comic books. It's a guy who owns a comic book store in Berkeley, California. Oh, wait. As you can see, you're scrolling again at the bottom of the screen. Those are our hours and days of operations. And sometimes we put things up on eBay. I need to make some money. I'd rather just, sell it to somebody, not worry about eBay. But I don't know. I've got a couple books right here that would be pretty cool to put up there. Anyhow, I own a comic book store in Berkeley, California, and we've been around for over 11. This is our 12th year. May 1st is our anniversary. It's the same weekend as Free Comic Book Day, or the same week as Free Comic Book Day. And we usually celebrate it on that same day. Of course, I haven't in the last few years for obvious reasons. And it would be awesome to be able to do it again, but I think we'll save that for next year. So it's inherent that everybody that shops at my store continue to do so. So that we can have a really awesome party next year. Of course, it's a very small space, so it'll be very interesting. And that's one of the reasons why we want to be clear to be able to do such a thing. I would like to open up the store for everybody and let everybody know just what it looks like. But we will be having Free Comic Book Day that first Saturday in May, and I don't know, maybe a cake also. So come on by and get some free comic books. We're not going to go crazy like we did in years past. We had just enough. Funny enough, we had just enough before. And we always have something to show people when they come on in. Comic book related. And this show is about books that are coming out tomorrow, the comic book industry, sometimes a little bit of extra stuff. Maybe I'll have a guest on. And it's all from a comic book store owner and a fan. I've been reading comics all my life, my point of view. And maybe a little insight that you don't get from other places. Not necessarily any secrets that I'm letting you in on, but if you don't know, you don't know, and I'm here to help out. Plus, I have I feel like a lot of shows you might watch, the people that are on or hosting them have a certain type of book, and I am not just like a superhero, a cape and tights kind of person. But that doesn't mean I'm like reading everything else. I don't read every horror book and stuff. I have taste. My father would say I had taste in my feet. And I'll tell you what I do have a taste for. I had a taste for plot holes, which I got in the store. And we are now officially sold out. So hooray. Thank you, everybody. That retailer tier was awesome. I think there is going to be a way to get it later on, but I'm not sure. So if you missed out, I'm sorry. It was a pretty cool book. I haven't read all of it yet, but I enjoyed what I have read so far. And of course, Sean Murphy, he poops out good art. His poop is art. Okay, so what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, let's see. Tonight's show, we're going to talk about the Berkeley Comic Show, which was this last Saturday, and I bought a couple things. And oh yeah, that reminds me, I have to hold on a second. I gotta get something from over here. And I forgot to get this set up. I have the other things, but anyway, I'm going to show you a little show and tell. And maybe I should just do that now. Say, hey, everybody, this is me, Yule. I own Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California, and I drink whiskey on air. And I'm going to share what comics I got here. In fact, here, I'll show you one right now. Let me look at the comments. All right, so when I first opened up, one of the people that sometimes is in chat, Craig, was selling, I can't remember this guy's name. It's like something dog. Dog. His old ass comic books. And he had a lot of everything. And he was selling them in like, $5 boxes, $10 boxes. People were coming by and, going through and immediately getting all the keys, should there be keys, and, all the stuff around that can make some money. People are really, they're like rats. But who doesn't love a good box dive, man? That's always the best part. When I worked at Half Price Books, I would have the cart, because I the whole literature section was me, just me. And I had a library cart, and on that cart on both sides was all alphabetical. My section was all alphabetical, and nothing was out except boxes that were getting ready to be put out. You can go through the whole section, but the first freaking thing everybody goes through is those boxes. It's like, no, leave those alone. I got to get it out so it's nice, You're going to ruin this. Customers, they always ruin everything. But I went over there and I was looking for anything that wasn't that kind of stuff. And Milestone, before anybody cared recently. Anything Malibu, underground stuff with boobs in it, 3D stuff that's like 3D. And one of the things I found, and I think I bought them for like a couple bucks, it was like in like a $3 box or something. And these are in nice condition. I got New York City Outlaws. I don't know what this is. I know what it is now. And I got number 2. Oh yeah, wait, look at this back cover. Look at this. What's New York's number 1 heavy metal band? Battalion. Yeah, maybe we should see if we can get some Battalion clips and not get copyright claimed. And then I got issue number 4 also of New York City Outlaws. And I don't know, I just looked through a few pages, and it's karate and kung fu, and it's all sorts of stuff. And this was in the mid 80s when this came out. And I was at the show, and a guy had he had 1 issue and another issue, and I couldn't remember which ones I had at home. So I have 2 and 4 at home, so I need 1 and 3. And he had a 4 and a something else, and I can't remember what that was. So I bought this erroneously, another number 4. So now I can say, oh, well, this one's slightly better condition, if that even matters, because I just throw it in a drawer over here, along with all my other undergrounds. You don't believe me? Look at the screen right now. What is that? Mean Bitch Thrills by Spain, right? And, oh, this is cool. Cocaine Comics, The Last Gasp in San Francisco, right there. All right, it's enough of that. So I bought a New York City Outlaws, and I need a 1 and a 3. I don't need a 4. So, yeah, if anybody knows where we can trade, I'd be happy to. Hero Falls, sorry, I couldn't make it to the comic show. Oh man, it was a good show, and there were some good people there, but unless you had high dollar, shit's so expensive, especially in high grade. And there were guys with high grade CGC stuff, and even a comic that should be in the high hunt, close to 1,000, it's well over 1,000, if not 2 or 3, and It's just because of grade. And the 9/8 might be very difficult to find. But within the range of 9 to 10 or 9/8, it shouldn't be impossible to find so much of the stuff that's so expensive. If it's something from the 70s, there should be a lot of that out there. And it should be in fairly good condition, at least 7s. But there has been time, and there's degradation, and there's storage problems, but it's not that bad. And it's not so bad that everything should be so high and so expensive, but those 9/8s, those 9/6s go crazy. And that was an awesome show to go and see that stuff. But I'll show you what I got in a second. I was one of the lucky ones who had the hardback and wasn't damaged, it seems, for plot holes. I also got the retailer one, which were all soft covers, and those were fine. It was packaged. It wasn't packaged to not get damaged, but I know that there was a lot of ones that were damaged. But I would have said put them in bags. Except those are kind of hard to get. I forget who I was listening to on YouTube, but some person who does maybe it was at my store. I can't remember what it was. They were trying to send out comics to people, and what they wanted to do was buy, bags from a store. And that store was like, you can only have 1 or 2, and we can't give you any more. And he's like, he wants to argue with the guy and say, I'm not doing this so I can have bags and squirrel them away from my comic books. I'm doing that so I can send comic books out to other people. Nonetheless, a nice silver or golden age bag or magazine bag can be had. I've had problems with other fulfillment centers from other books that I've funded, and it kind of is what it is. You can either argue or you got to know what you care about the most. And and on top of it, campaigns are often very late. This one was late, but it wasn't so late. And with the PDF, and everything, it was at least that stuff was out there. Hero Fall. I wish I knew what day half price books the day that person's working, probably. I think out here in the Bay Area, it is going to be difficult at a half price books to either put one over on the staff there, and if you can do that, you got to put one over all the other people that are going to be looking for that thing or finding that thing. And there's a lot of sharks out here, and you're swimming with them. What are you going to do? I agree. It is pretty clean art. And these guys, this Can Landgraf, I think this entire series is actually going to get collected, or there's going to be a new one. And if I'm not mistaken, Floating World is doing that. And if I am mistaken, it's Fantagraphics that's involved with it. Either way, a company I like to give money to and sell in my store. I really like to sell Fantagraphics in my store, people. So buy it and speak up. Art is valuable in many ways. Bubble wrap, exactly. It was, they just put hard cardboard paper, kind of and crumpled it up, and it was spend the extra 50 cents for however much you need to get that stuff per book. It would have been better. So boo. Did I tell you I'm stuffed up? All right, so here's what I got. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. This was not planned. Riri Williams is worth $180. Well, there's probably going to be either TV or movie with that character. a lot of people are speculating her first appearance in one of those Iron Mans that Bendis wrote, 4, 6, 8, I can't remember. She's you got to have that first appearance, and her first comic also. I think I sent some of those out to CGC, her first issue. Same thing with like Naomi. That's looking like a good call. Now that she has a show, the CW can't screw that up, can they? So I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I'm really trying to concentrate my collection 100 issues in a row from 151 to 251, because like in that era is when I was so young that I was getting those comics, but I was thrashing them when I read it, or trading them, or whatever, drawing on them, cutting them up, putting them in scrap pages. I would read a lot of Marvel tales. I would read a lot of the Kangaroo, I think they're called, paperbacks that would have like Spider-Man first 6 issues. There would be like 3 or 4 of them. So I basically read all the Ditko that way. Back when Romita was an artist on the book, and if not Romita, it would have been like Ross Andrew and Jim Mooney, those guys. So Spidey's a big deal. And one of the things I read as a kid, so my grandmother would take me to this mall out where she lived in Inglewood, and it had like bumper cars in there, and dime tosses and all sorts of stuff in there. It's almost like a little carnival, and one of those horrible ones that you should never get on the rides. One of those. And there was this one store, and they sold funny books. I couldn't stand it being called funny books. And I would either get the Marvel graphic novel, or not the graphic novels, that's like X-Men and Death of Captain Marvel, the treasury-sized ones, which were all basically reprints. And I would get like the Spider-Man ones. I remember specifically getting the Guardians of the Galaxy. That sucked. And other ones, and DC also. But more often than not, it was Spider-Man. There were also trade paperbacks, collections. A lot of people think that, that was like a new thing. But there's always been these things. And we would go to like bookstores, my dad and I, and he'd be in the fantasy section, sci-fi section, and I'd be looking for anything that has like some sort of comic book something in it. And in one of those trips, either to the bookstore or with my grandmother, I got this. This is not the one. I got this since then. The Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee. Fuck the other people. It is by Stan Lee, though. He wrote all the stories. And specifically in here are the 3 issues that got the Comics Code Authority taken off. So comics used to have like the Comics Code Authority, and you couldn't have red blood on the cover. You couldn't do any like eye trauma. You couldn't cuss. Sexual situations had to be at a minimum. No drug usage, and drug usage is where we're at. And that's the 3 issues of Spider-Man. You can't see the cover because they didn't put that in here. But anyway, Harry, Norman Osborn's kid, gets hooked on pills. And there's like all this conversation about drugs and who's responsible and who should be doing things about what. And I think the conversation that they had about drugs was a little bit more real than the actual drug usage, because these pills that make people like high or believe they can fly and stuff like that. I'm not a pill popper. Maybe there are some that can make you that. I know that there's some that can make. There's Ambien, and it can make you say really stupid things about people in service to us, politics. So I have, in addition, and this is a problem with my collecting of my real stuff that I want to collect. I've always been like a butterfly when it comes to, or a fish. I see a shiny lure And I'm like, oh, I want to start collecting that. Recently, I had been doing that with like Cherry Pop Tart, and I could always get back into that one now. But what I got was, so this was recent, within the last year or so, I purchased this, which is the second issue, number 97, and this is a 9.2, good condition. There's writing right up in there. You can see that. That's allowed. I would like to trade up eventually, so I don't have writing on it. These two are placeholders, and I also put them in Mylar, so they look really good. But I got 96 at the show. Pretty cool. I like the cover. I like the band on the side. And then I got 98, the finishing story of, and like I said, there's no comic code authority here. But usually right there. It's a Green Goblin story. And eventually I'll pop this out and put it with these. But I haven't popped anything out of a CGC, so that'll make a video. And that is what I purchased at the Berkeley Comic Show, because I don't got thousands and thousands of dollars to buy awesome comic books. All right, let's see. I believe they already announced a Disney Plus series with Riri, or at least Ironheart. They should, man. I mean, go for it. Yeah. Yeah, get that one. Ross Andrew drew the Spider-Man Superman Treasury Edition. He sure did. I don't think I ever had that one. The one I had, and I love it, probably because I read it and had it, but the one I really loved was Batman and the Hulk, and that was Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, if I'm not mistaken, on art there. And that one was so good. How does Batman fight the Hulk? And it was cool. Shaper of Worlds was in there and some other stuff. All right, let's see. Invincible Iron Man number 9. That was the one, the Riri. Just sold on eBay for $200. Her first debut in the MCU will be in the Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Then she will get a lead role in Disney Plus's Armor Wars alongside Rhodey. Wow. I hope they get someone young, not just someone that can grow into the character and is willing to. LK bought Treasury editions from Pick and Save. Yeah, Pick and Save. When my grandparents took me back in the day. Whitman version of Superman versus... Wow. Dang. That's sweet. Whitmans are... they count, but they don't often have the number of the issue on the top, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. It's the perfect time to trade up and sell that Amazing Spider-Man with the Green Goblin. Oh. Yeah, well, I'm not selling until I have the other one to trade up with. I'm not looking to. These are, like I said, placeholders. Fischozo, yo, how's it going, man? How's it going? Anybody interested in that clip that I played? That was from Swingers. Since we're talking about MCU movies, that was a Jon Favreau directed movie. He also starred in it. And the club they went to was the Dresden Room in Hollywood, LA, that kind of thing. And I went there once. We went and saw this really arty movie based off this one dude's writings. And I'm like, I mean, it was like kind of like raunchy, I guess, but it just wasn't. And anyway, before the show, we went to was it before the show or after? I can't remember what it was. I think it was before. And we went to the Dresden Room to wait, and that couple that was playing Staying Alive was performing, I guess, like they always do. and it was crazy. And we had some stiff drinks and some. I think we had mushrooms, filled with something. Well, those were the days. Let me tell you, my college life. I know there was like some smoking involved also. Why don't I go back to that one more time, just so you can remember.
Whether you're a brother or whether you're about the West, staying alive, staying alive. Feel the city shaking, everybody breaking out, staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive.
Yeah, staying alive. Not that guy though, not Marty. He died, and I found that on a few minutes before getting on. And I said, well, I gotta clip this thing out so that I can share it with you all. And if you haven't seen Swingers, you should check it out. It's a pretty funny movie. Got Vince Vaughn in it back in his early not so fat days, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. Let's see here. Do I have another banner? Oh, don't forget, if you're at all interested in anything else that I do, you can check out Sci-Fi and Fantasy Read Along on YouTube or wherever podcasts sprout up. And right now we're doing a Philip K. Dick book called The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. Do I have that book here? Hold on. Oh, I have it right here. My buddy Howard called me yesterday. What did he call you, Yule? He called me. He's going to hang out at the store next couple days. And we were talking about the three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, because I knew he was a big dickhead. Howard is. That's what they call people that like Philip K. Dick and really into him. They call themselves dickheads proudly. And he was telling me about Three Stigmata, one of his favorites, maybe his favorite. And he said, Paul Mavrids, and this guy's like an illustrator, an artist. He calls himself, hold on a sec, Palmer Vredes. And it's because of the Palmer Eldritch connection. And that's what he calls himself, and because he's a big dickhead also. And I said, Paul Mavrids, who is that? And he was telling me how he worked on Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Gilbert Shelton would do really loose pencils and stories, and then Paul would come in and like finish it up. And I said, yeah, but that's not ringing a bell. So I Googled his name and I looked, and I'm like, oh, that Young Lust, he did that work in there. I have down here where I have all these minis and zines and stuff right here. I have like 2 drawers down here, but not all of them are like old, and some are like new. Like Cover Up, Low Down, and oh, look here, Snatch Comics. But then I have this Ulysses, and nobody knows who that is. I mean, Ulysses. Look at this Too Much Coffee Man. And back when I worked at Comic Relief, who is this? I think, oh yeah, Megan Kelso. Split Rock, Montana. So like I got a lot of, this one's a good one. This Jam Sketchbook by Joe Matt. I'm a big Joe Matt fan. Anyway, Paul Mavrides, he's done like all sorts of this kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, wait, then I saw something. And I was like, oh, I have that comic for sure. And he has Bob's favorite comics. And, when I'm off screen, let me do it right now. You got Bob Dobbs there. And this is Paul Mavrides. See? And he does like the first story here. And like he's like a creator designer of like all of the Church of the Subgenius. He's like one of the main guys. And I was like, oh, that's where I know his name from. So anyway, sci-fi and fantasy read along is all about the three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, and we don't talk about Bob Dobbs or anything in there. Let me show you some comics that I read recently, like today, because I was doing some pressing. I pressed these Spider-Mans right here, and I can show you like I can show you a little bit of what I did on that also. Let me get to that really quick. I did some okay work. I just don't think I wanted to mess them up because they weren't going to get like that much better. So this is what it looked like before, and that's what it looked like afterwards. And it's just a little flatter. The color comes out a little bit better. You can see this. It's crumpled here. It's still crumpled. That tearing, it's not going to go away. I could have done something to help this a little bit more, but I just didn't really worry about it before. Like this tear, nothing you're gonna be able to do about that. You just kind of try and like make it a little nicer, a little flatter. I know it's not all the same angle, but I do my best. Here we have Mary Jane right by the spider legs, and then if you look at it now, it's a lot better. And then in the back, especially on the left hand side, this is like I hate stains. In my porno comics, they can't have any stains of any type. Not at all. But that one right there is horrible. And then you can see it afterwards. Now it's in the wrist watches and the girl's travel case that I can't really do that much. I use the there's archival putty that you use. It's like for really soft paper, so you don't like tear up the ink or anything like that. Well, not the ink, but the but I just it's more bothersome than anything. If this would have been like white in here, like really white, but this is more like a tanned color or like a little bit of a gray, I would have done it a little bit more. Dirty on the right. I a lot of it is just staining though, and you can see that it's a little cleaner, but not that much. This is a real big indentation plus a little bit of dirt. It's still it's just a little softer when you touch it. And then you can see that smudge up close, and then you see the smudge cleaned up, but then you can see it's like it's not gray. It's oh God, I can't think of what that's called right now. It's not stippled because there's like a thing that they use. These artists, they always have their tricks. And then here you can see those probably spray painted for like remainder or something like that. That's like supposed to like signify you got rid of it maybe back in the day, or you just marked them. That's allowed, I guess. And then 98. It's so awesome having these issues finally. It's like a weight off my shoulders actually having them. Especially since I didn't have to like pay that much. You can see it's a little crumpled here on the right side. It still is, but it's flatter. On the left side, these marks aren't going to go away. But it's a little flatter. Gil Kane cover. Again, these are like stressors that are you're just gonna hopefully soften this part in the book out, not the actual stress. And it's bad angle for it to prove it, but you can see how the gloss comes out after a nice press. It's pretty awesome. Like that tear up in the corner. You can't do anything about that, but it looks a little nicer. And here in the back, normally I don't do anything when it comes to trying to realign the spine or anything like that, but you can see there is rolling going on down here on the left and up here on the left. And so I actually did it. I tried to work with it, and you can see that I think there's a significant less on both, on the lower and then on the left on the upper part. And then the cleaning, it's a little bit cleaner. I do believe this staining is going to stay. See the staining here? You can't get rid of that. I guess there might be a way, but it's highly unlikely. And the book is like, got enough like defects that anything better wouldn't help anyway. But getting that spine aligned a little bit better, so you can see. Go back and here, and down here on the left, and cleaner up in here, and then more aligned. And that's my pressing. Yeah, very proud of myself. I did it for my own book, so yeah, that helps. Yeah, so there you go. Let me tell you about some books I read. My partner, who is sometimes on the other side of me, in a box to my left or right, depending on how it looks for you. They wanted me to get Daisy and kind of speculate on it. Like, maybe this will be the book that it won't be like, not speculate like, oh, this is going to be really important someday, or, just, something that we might be able to sell. I hadn't read it until today, and there's already been a second issue. And I think the third's coming out pretty soon. Anyway, this is a Dark Horse comic book by people I don't know. The art inside looked good. There's a beginning where there's like this sermon that's being read by one of the children in the congregation. And it's all about these giants and these people, and anyway, people died and blood was drunk. And later on we meet this woman, and she's lost her husband. Her daughter has gone missing for like, I think 3 years or something. She used to be a cop. She lost her job, or she quit her job so that she could try and work this case. And finally she got a phone call, and it led her to this city, or this place. And she is led by the sheriff to go meet the minister in the congregation that are telling this story. And then something happens. And I'm like, what? It's going to be like horror based, or at least creepy, atmospheric. What Dark Horse normally does, just without Hellboy, or the Hellboy world from the mind of Mignola. From Image Comics, we have Joe Hill's Reign by Zoe Thorogood, also, and other people. Who cares about the other people? This is a couple of women that are in love with each other and living in Denver. Well, they were going to live in Denver. This one in the dress over here, she is moving up with her mother, or with her family, and she's going to live with the other woman, this one right here. This lady here is telling about how all these people that we're meeting are going to die, and why this little kid doesn't die. See, he's so sick that he can't go in the sun, and so he pretends that he's a vampire. And it's funny because, all these people are going to die because they were outside, and this little kid who's like going to die if he's outside lives because he's not. And the rain that occurs is all these needles just falling from the sky. And at first it's just like, oh, one hit me in the shoulder. And then all of a sudden, boom. And they're talking about 8 inches of needles in 5 minutes, And so that lady that we found in that they said was going to die, she's underneath her hammock, her bench, her chair that she was on. Dude, this Marine guy who was working on his car was outside. These people right here, they're like doomsayers. Oh, and the girlfriend, she gets it too. First issue was really good. I sold out except for that issue. I am bringing it back to the store, as I am bringing this back also. I have not read Detective Comics in quite a while. This is written by Mariko Tamaki. Mariko Tamaki was a very good seller in my store when it was her own creator-owned stuff, and we were bigger, and we had, closer to the college. People were in the college. Mariko is now working on Detective Comics, and this was a story about this character called the Meager Man. Firstly, for me, the draw for this is the drawing by Dave Lapham. This is pretty good stuff. He tells a very clean story. His style is kind of, I don't want to say dated, but it's unique for today. It's older. Well, and the fact that it tells a story. He's not flashy. He never has been, but he does a really good job, building suspense. And he's a good artist. I like him a lot. Read Stray Bullets. If Ryan's still in chat, he should second that right now. So those are three. Oh, I didn't tell you about the story. So it's about the Meager Man, and it also is the prelude to Shadows of the Bat, which I guess has to do with, at the end, this doctor that it's all about this guy that keeps getting out of Arkham. He gets out of Arkham and he kills again, and then he gets caught by Batman and Robin. Or I'm sorry, Nightwing. Nightwing turns them over to the cops. Cops are all your good people, and we'll take care of them like we know how to. So they're eluding the police brutality, and then he gets escaped by this group that really are into his exploits. But what really is happening here is the recidivism of Batman's villains. Going to prison, Arkham, getting treated, not treated, breaking out, doing the same thing but worse. And this guy is like an example of that. So kind of like, I don't know if the Meager Man's ever been a character before. If this is a creation of Mariko, it's a cool character. Kind of has that like I watched Hannibal feel to it. He's making like wings from chicken bones, and it's an okay story. And the concept is, there's this new Arkham that's being built, and I guess that's like the Shadow of the Bat, or in the Shadow of the Bat, or something like that. And they're hoping to be a little bit more proactive when they're helping these, psychotic killers. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Where does it go? It goes to Detective, the regular ongoing monthly, weekly comic book until this storyline ends, which I think it's going to be like 8 or 10 issues. So 8 or 10 issue of Detective Comics weekly. This is a good annual. I have the first issue over here. I'm going to read that. I don't usually read a whole lot of Batman, and I don't usually read a whole lot of extra Batman. So I'm doing this for you. That's going to be, from now on, I'm doing this for you. All right. Let's see. Moby says, I have trouble calling myself a dickhead. Do you really? I've seen your show. Moby did this the old school way, with a camera and a stage, a studio, public access style. And he has hundreds of episodes that he should get on DVD. It's probably like a fine to a fine before, now maybe like a fine plus. So 6 to 6.5, is that fine? I can't remember numbers. Maybe if I don't know what I would have to take a look. I haven't really graded them. There's like specifics when you come to the corners and what they allow as far as the fraying is concerned. I think those are small. They're noticeable, but they're small, and there's no like significant like dents or crunches in the cover, except for that one little spot. And I think the realigning that one helps it out quite a bit. But there is foxing, not staining. I think they would have said that was foxing, and that's a difference. You know, the difference between your drink, your coming on the comic book and staining it, or water damage, and foxing, which is like the browning of the pages, the covers is what it is. And the pages were nice. They would say off-white. I'm not a stickler when it comes to white pages, but I have a few old comics that have white pages, and it's amazing. I forget what number it is. I should look, but it's like Superman 132 or something like that. It's like from the 50s. And I'm going to do that while we talk here. The pages are so white. I mean, you could eat off them. They're so it's amazing. I'm just flabbergasted by it. And then I have a Spider-Man. I have issue number 40, and that one, I have my screen open, and I don't know where my stuff is laid out. I don't have a flip phone. I have a fold phone. Whatever. So Spider-Man 40, and that one is not graded, so I haven't like sent it out or anything like that. This is one where you're kind of like, wow, this is so nice. I should probably think about it. And I have it there. The pages are so white. Why do modern comics act as if being gay is special? It's current year. Nobody cares. Just go to... I don't know if that's necessarily true. There's definitely quadrants of the city. I don't know why either. I sometimes will go like, oh my God. I felt that way. Like I think it's like, it was probably the creators that are working on it is really what it is. We have a different type of creator working on comics right now, and this is something that they're into. It feels though sometimes that people are doing because it's expected of them. I'm looking at Scott Snyder. It's like, I couldn't stand Harper Row in his story, and it's just like her being gay, or no, it's her brother being gay. It was just like just two characters I could care less about. I was poo-pooing a Vault comic the other day because like you're reading and it's got this monster fight with this guy and this robot, and he's drunk in it. You know, he's doing a Tony Stark, and then like 5 or 7 pages of these two women like telling us how much they love each other, and then a phone call that sends the one away from the other. And it's like, did I really need to bother with all that? And I kind of threw it down. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I want to see where it's going. And so she left her behind so that she could go take over the family business until her brother gets well. And she has problems with her mom and dad. But it wasn't that bad. But like all the Vault comics, it's like, you know, this is a paint by number scenario, you know, cue the girlfriend, cue the boyfriend, you know, it doesn't matter. Are you going to give any thoughts about the Peacemaker show tonight, Jill B. Pill? Well, let me tell you, I love the first episode. I don't want to binge it because I want to enjoy it. John Cena, I'm so impressed with how well he plays this character. I saw a lot of people on Twitter going really crazy with the opening scene with the dance moves and stuff like that. He's so robotic. It's funny. And I hear like each episode is going to have a different one or a different change to it. So you got to watch it each time. And I giggled and I watched it again and again. And I showed Fantinuum. And then I went home and Jill and I watched it on Friday, I think, the first episode. And I loved it. I thought it was great and it was funny. And I understand if you really like Vigilante and you're like, oh, I would have really liked to seen no, you want to see Vigilante. Just he sucks, but it's gonna be funny. Eagly the Eagle is awesome, and it hugged John Cena, Peacemaker. And if you like Suicide Squad, you got to see this. There's going to be James Gunn directed episodes, like almost all of them. And it was super funny. And ladies, you get to see John Cena's ass. And you get to see him in tidy whities. And Jill assures me that you want to see him in his tidy whities. Talking Soul asks, Hulk 3 this week? Yes, Hulk 3. Oh, good. 6'5". That's what I think those are then. Oh, yes. DC is at least 50% LGBTQ plus. I don't know. I don't know if you have to even plus anything. It's more like a multiplication symbol times. No, but they do. And if I mean, hey, whatever. That whole Justice League that's going to come out in the comic books. They had a DC had this contest we never talked about on the show. They had a thing for Instagram and Twitter and whatever social media they wanted to use, and they were like having a March Madness for really stupid sounding comic books. And excuse me, the winner was Robins, which has had its third issue, and or it's going to. And Robins has Thirst Trap covers variants, and it's like they're done by Babstar. There's gonna be some women ones also, so boys, you can be happy also. But the first one is like Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and he's like in a boxing ring, and he's in the corner, and he's like resting, and it's like he's got this really funky abdominals, but it's just like he's dripping. It's pretty funny. It's embarrassing also. Funny enough, I get equally embarrassed selling stuff like that with men on the cover and women on the cover. It's just different when Art Adams is doing it. The DC universe will have extremely low birth rates. Yes, they will. Oh, you're disappointed. Awful humor. Well, that by a third episode, I might feel differently. As far as the first episode, I was really happy with it. The other thing is, like, I've been watching John Cena all his career. All right, not the what was he? His before WWE character. But I know of it. I just can't think of it right now. Prototype. And he's pretty much wrestled the same way. Seeing him, he had an edgy side when he was doing the Ruck Fools stuff, because WWE was moving to PG-13, and he was being a white gangsta kind of guy, and he's part of the chain gang, and things like that. I'm part of the Berkeley chain gang. Word life. But seeing him come out and dropping all the F-bombs, and even in Suicide Squad doing the jerk off motions and stuff like that, it was I really liked it. Let's see. I know Critical Blast here is going to hate the Vigilante. Yeah, I'm okay with it being made a joke also, because who cares? Just make something that is fun or funny, and maybe exciting a little bit. I mean, there's going to probably be hopefully some good action in it. I mean, I thought the fight scene with the woman and John Cena, again, that's just something you're not going to see in comic books too often. And I won't see him wrestling too often, where a guy and a girl are evenly matched, or she's not even really a girl, I guess, or woman, I guess. She's She seemed kind of robotic or something. But just John Cena, Peacemaker, has no problem slugging a woman that can slug him back. And I kind of dig that. It's pretty fun. Let's see. Peacemaker was essentially turned into an evil joke version of Captain America. Yeah, I bet. I didn't see him on Total Bellas. Yeah, I'm sure. Ladies, is that what you're saying? Ladies. All right, excellent. Good talk, everybody. Let's talk about some comics that are coming out tomorrow. First up, Detective Comics. This is part 2. I really like these covers also. I'm not quite sure who the artist is, but this is the A cover. Next up, we have Nightwing and Dick's Booty. It's all about Dick's Booty. I had a really good sales on the 87th issue, which was like one continuous panel going throughout the book. It was pretty cool. Here you go. 10-part miniseries about Batman. This is by Chip Zdarsky with Gian Domenico. I can't remember his first name right now. Carmen, I think. It should look good. I don't know. I mean, I just told you I can't do too much Batman. I'm not going to read all this detective stuff. I'll probably look at the first issue, but how much? Oh, I think I did look at it a bit. There's it's a lot of like, Martha and Thomas being alive, at least in the beginning. I don't think it wasn't happening yet. Again, it looked pretty good, but I don't know how much of this I can actually personally read. So let me know in the store. All right, there you go. Hulk with some Wolverine action. I think Wolverine's more in the next issue, but either way, I'm really looking forward to it. Donny Cates, I don't hate him. He has tricks and he hasn't exhausted all of them as far as I'm concerned. Ryan Otley's artwork has been pretty cool. This is funky. I assume that this Hulk storyline will be wrapped up by the 6th or the 12th issue. And should that happen, then we'll get the real story that we're going to get from Donny Cates. That's what I think. Also, I'm really looking forward to the fact that he writes Thor, and a Thor Hulk combat is usually, well, you come to my book, and Thor comes to Hulk's book, and Hulk wins, and Hulk goes to Thor's book, and Thor wins. But now, for the first time ever, maybe, we could see it work the other way around. Is it different? Either way, I'm looking forward to it. And Hulk and Wolverine is always a comic someone should buy, especially if they're speculating. So there you go. Moon Knight. Did you see the trailer, people? There's a trailer out there for the Moon Knight. It looks a little bit more like the Declan Shalvey one, but I bet there's going to be probably different ones, whether it be the first season or the next. This is a Disney Plus program, and Poe Dameron plays Moon Knight. Simon Isaac, something like that. And I'm a big Moon Knight fan. This series has been doing well. I sold out of issue 3 and have been selling out of the subsequent issues also. So I actually haven't read much past 2. But I'm really enjoying Jed McKay's work on the Spider-Man that he's been working on. I think it was Spider-Man. He did Death of Doctor Strange. He's doing something else I'm reading. I can't remember right now. So I'm looking forward to it. He's going to be doing the new Sorcerer Supreme Clea, the series that's going to be happening. Get Moon Knight. I still have the 6th issue. Maybe the trade too. What's next? She-Hulk is coming out. I have a lot of people that have been asking about this, and I've been putting it on their hold. I think I have enough for everybody that is going to come into the store after the fact to get it. I worry about worry. Worry is kind of a makes me think it makes you think maybe I care a little bit more than I do. Rainbow Rowell is a young adult novelist, and I hated her Runaways. But I know I have a lot of customers, and that is what they read, and that is what they enjoyed. I don't think that Rainbow Rowell should be writing a young adult She-Hulk, and I hope that she is not. But then I've got to wonder whether or not she is ready to write a comic for an older reader. And I don't mean an older reader like me, because I think we should all really understand that most comics should still be written for like a younger reader. We have this we had in like the 80s, DC would have, comics aren't just for kids, when they really should have been saying, like Oldsmobile, this isn't your grandfather's comic books. But we got Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, and over at Marvel we got Wolverine, slicing fools up and stuff like that. But for the most part, that stuff was still for kids. There were independents that weren't, obviously. I just showed you a bunch of them earlier. So like I'm not really worried that what I've seen her bring to the table, Rainbow Rowell, as far as the Runaways, I don't want to see a repeat of that on She-Hulk. And I would like to see She-Hulk do well, but I think the other thing about it is that people have way too much love for something that just doesn't sell. And there have been times when She-Hulk has been able to move in the store, but that's fleeting at best usually. The best run of She-Hulk I've read was either that 12-issue Charles Soule stuff, and there was a couple issues where the art was a little funky for a lot of people, but Polito being on it is really good. And then also I really enjoyed the Dan Slott stuff, and I know a lot of people like John Byrne's stuff. I wasn't into the comedy aspect of it, and he also wasn't on very long, so but he drew her great. And who doesn't I love She-Hulk more from John Byrne's Fantastic Four run. So again, this is going to be coming out. I hope it's good. I'm going to give it a try. I just don't think it's going to really it's not going to do for me what I want it to do, and I can't even tell you really what that is. So it's very AEW for me. Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. I gotta say, I've been enjoying so much this Ben Reilly stuff in the Amazing Spider-Man that I'm looking forward to reading this. And what is it? JMD Mateus is writing it? Wow. Everybody wants somebody old to be working in comics, and this is a perfect dude. He can do funny. He can do serious. That's perfect for a Spider-Man character, especially one that's going through growing pains even now. All his memories are of Peter Parker, but those aren't his memories, and he works for the Beyond Corporation, but maybe he doesn't by this time. Anywho, Ben Reilly's Spider-Man, it's a 5-issue mini. I'm looking forward to it. A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance by Rick Remender comes out. This is the 4th issue. I have been selling this very well. Andre Alima Araujo is doing the art. And if you like, it's like crime. It's kind of, I felt very John Woo to me, the very first issue. I can't remember if I read the 2nd issue. I have the fans that like this type of thing, and they know who they are. And, come the 5th issue, I think I'm only going to be ordering it for those people now. So get your orders in. But it should make really good trade sales also. Wow, look at that cover. I'm digging that. Is that I don't know. I would have thought that was maybe oh no, it's Art Adams, I'm assuming. Amazing Spider-Man. This is going to be written by the new Amazing Spider-Man. It's going to be relaunched. I think they said in April. by the new Spider-Man writer, Zeb Wells, and this one's written by him. I can't remember the guy's first name, but this Dowling guy worked on a couple of those Cody Ziegler issues. And all right, Zeb, you got the ball. You get to work with it, man. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm very interested. Dig this cover though. This is still part of the Beyond storyline. Also, I will be getting in the collection of the first volume of that. So I'll have that on sale tomorrow also. All right. Aerosmith by Kurt Busiek and my favorite active superhero illustrator, Carlos Pacheco. They did Aerosmith. Well, not the band. You can see it spelled differently. Probably, Jesus Christ, 20 years ago now. It might have been when Comic Relief was on University. I can't even remember. It was a 6-issue miniseries, and it's like World War I with dragons and wizards. And it's fantasy. It's what is it called? It's like those Harry Turtledove books. It's it's fantasy history or something like that. And Kurt Busiek, master storyteller. Carlos Pacheco, like I said, my favorite superhero illustrator currently working in the business. Until he retires, he's the number one. Try and guess my number one non-superhero illustrator. Anyway, this comes out tomorrow, and soon there will be the collection coming in, a re-release of the collection of the first one. I ordered that, so that should be in a week or two. Cursed Pirate Girl. This is the first of, I think, a couple issues. This has come out in the past, like 25 years ago, and it's happening again, and just get it. It's a $10 book, but wait until you look at it. This is like one of those things. Like, think about it this way. You didn't have to crowdfund to wait for it all this time. And yeah, it's really scintillating, beautiful, amazing illustrations, and like a fantasy storyline. Cool stuff. I think she has to try and rescue her dad in a Gates of Hell type thing. And last but not least for today, Silver Surfer Rebirth. Once again, for those of you that have been pining for the old days, what's more old and days than Ron Mars and Ron Lim? The two Rons. Oh, poor Ron Lim. Is he just like he has had the most unfortunate career in Yule's eyes. That no, all right, so Ron Lim now, this is like an old dude doing his style. So it's not like, whoa, my God, this is spectacular. Let's be real about it. And I'm making fun of Ron Lim right now. But so people are, sad about George Perez because, he's probably going to not be with us by the end of the year. And he's doing an exclusive signing for CGC for $75. You can send in a comic. And not only will they grade it and put it in a slab, but George Perez will sign it and it will be notified, COA and stuff like that. Be legit. And there's so many amazing comic books that, some people are saying that he's a Mount Rushmore type artist. I say, let's be real here about George Perez. And we can get into that some other day if Max ever shows up. He's done Fantastic Four, the Avengers. He created Taskmaster. There's something Deathstroke. Not Deathstroke. I can't think of the name of the damn thing. The guy from Captain America, the undead cyborg. He did New Teen Titans, created characters over there, redefined characters. Nightwing, we just saw his comic earlier. That's George Perez and Marv Wolfman, probably George Perez and George Perez. He wrote and drew Wonder Woman. He worked his way to become a writer in comic books. He just wasn't like, pushing his weight around when he, didn't deserve it. He's just fantastic. And one of the things he did, we just saw in the Avengers, the Infinity Gauntlet with Jim Starlin and George Perez. And then George Perez did like 3 of the 6 issues. And who was he followed by? Followed by Ron Lim. And then Silver Surfer. It started up. There was the John Buscema run. And then there was that John Byrne 1 issue, volume 2. And then they started at volume 3 in the 80s, 90s. And they started with Steve Englehart, great classic Marvel/DC writer. Knows his stuff. And the art was Marshall Rogers. Marshall Rogers, doing all that creepy 70s Batman stuff that, that's out there. Wasn't he the Shadow? No, that's Kaluta. I can't think what else Marshall Rogers did. Stuff for DC. A lot of Batman, though, for sure. And, then he's followed by Ron Lim on Silver Surfer. And Ron Lim had like a really super long run. Everybody really likes him, but he's all right. And Ron Mars was one of the writers that followed Steve Englehart. And it's kind of like, he's all right. He's not my favorite writer. He kind of rankles me as far as like his work. And then, he's like, he's a funky dude. Let's just be nice about him. And so nonetheless, I'm actually sort of looking forward to this because number one, there hasn't been a Silver Surfer since the Dan Slott stuff. Well, that's not true. Donny Cates did. And, there was Silver Surfer Black. But for the most part, there hasn't been really any Silver Surfer except for Dan Slott's like Doctor Who type thing. And it'll be good to see this. And not only that, we got a classic writer, classic artist, and it looks like Don Ho is alive working on this book. So isn't that great? Thank you everybody for tuning in. We got a little bit more to go. We might not make it down to the basement. I am sorry about that. Let's see. Let me see a little bit higher. Okay. All right. Oscar Isaac. Yes. Thank you, Deviant Porg. Yeah, I think it is a porn bot, Fizchozo. The Moon Knight trailer has me cautiously optimistic, like the horror vibe, the costume. They are, I guess, I was listening to a Perch video where he's talking about they're going to play into the whole being, psycho, split personality or whatever the hell it's going to be. And, I kind of was hoping that this would be a little bit less on the psychotic character, a little less of the Judaism that has been played in the comics. I feel to death. And before anybody starts saying stuff, same thing with Matt Murdock and his Catholicism. I'm done with it. I would like to see a story where it doesn't matter as much, just for a little while. I understand that, like, we were just saying, every character seems to be gay and stuff like that. And it's like, are there Muslims out there that don't follow the religion? Aren't there Catholics, people that were raised, aren't there recovering Catholics? Can't I just encounter one of them in a comic first? What about a G for Jesus? Can we have one of them? I don't want it, actually. But I mean, there's so many different types out there that are religious. You could, when are we going to get that Scientologist character? Oh, all the gay characters that want to fight it. Like They're going to all become Scientologists. I have an addiction. Only you can help me get rid of it, Dianetics. I don't trust Rao to write it well at all. I bought the first issue. Adam Hughes. That's an investment in the very least. Just get an Adam Hughes cover. They've blown up. It's just, I think people are like so, they don't expect sexy stuff in comics quite so much unless it's just like obvious titillation and just straight out pornography, like not Dynamite, like Dynamite, but then you got your broadsword comics and stuff like that. So like when Adam Hughes or even like Art Adams is allowed to do their thing a little bit more so, it's kind of like everybody seems to be such a fuddy-duddy. I'm just surprised they're even allowed to do anything. All right, the same way we can see Jason Aaron fall and Brian Michael Bendis from Grace downwards, we can see Rainbow for sure. She hopefully, I mean, she is a person that is paid to write books, and I would assume that she can put a plot together and follow it from A to whatever they need to make it happen. But what I've read of her Runaways just has not been very exciting. And it doesn't mean you necessarily just have punching for punching's sake and lawyering for lawyering's sake. But I'm looking forward to at least checking it out. If she has an entire storyline where she doesn't leave her apartment though, like those Runaways kids did, I'm going to be very upset. Sitting in your apartment and eating at restaurants is like two of my most hated things in the superhero comic book. And, I fear that a lot of the new writers these days, man or woman, it really doesn't matter. They do a lot of that. And you would see it in X-Men, but it would always be like, at the end of like this really big thing, or maybe like a summit to get something going. But, and X-Men was a little bit more soap opera anyway. I'm finding that more and more of these comics that I like, though, they are all just soap operas, aren't they? Hoping Aerosmith is good. Really liked. Oh, good. Kurt Busiek can be good. I hope his Astro City comes out soon. Again, I'm a real big Brent Anderson fan, and when you'll know that when you see that Kazar video that I have to put together. Hey man, there's not enough space anyway. But no, I would. He's localish. Look. If the guy would have started on those books, he wouldn't have had anything like that he was being compared to. But, it's tough. And not only that, I read all his X-Mutant stuff beforehand, kind of seen the tricks that Ron Lim has. And by the time he comes on over to Marvel, they don't change. And it's not like he was working with he was probably I think Austin maybe, but Austin wasn't going to do anything to change his artwork. And I could be wrong about him on that book also. But there weren't any embellished, it wasn't like, Sienkiewicz was inking him or Jansen. Like John Romita had his style and then it changed pretty much around the time when Jansen took over. And you could say the same thing. And we did on Critical Thinking this Saturday. Thinking Critical. We were kind of talking about, Frank Miller was, an okay artist. He's like he's like a graphic kind of guy, but it didn't change until he didn't really hit home until Klaus Janson was involved with him. And Klaus Janson, he kind of helped make John Romita Jr. And he's a good artist in his own right, but he's a fabulous inker. And these guys are they're top notch because of that. And Ron Lim never got that treatment. Yes, he is. Perez is the greatest crowd drawer in comics. No, the thing that we would say about Perez was like he kind of had like a stiffness to his characters. You know, if you draw the Marvel, you know, you're kind of more Marvel people. You know, Marvel's the more exciting company. The art kind of represents that. And Perez, man, his faces, like each person had an individual face. Crisis on Infinite Earths, almost nobody could have done that. When John Byrne went from Fantastic Four and Alpha Flight to DC to do Superman, me and my friends were like, "Oh, John Byrne, all he's going to do is draw Superman is just draw Guardian with a spit curl," and that's pretty much all he did. Just James Hudson, you know, from Alpha Flight. And George Perez is the best there. That was just like probably the one thing that, like, if you have to really, you know, nitpick about George Perez. But now that he's gotten older, and his last run on Avengers with Kurt Busiek of Aerosmith, he did really, really fantastic work, and he really elevated himself. It's kind of like they say, like an athlete, when they're young, they have all the physical potential, and when they're old, they have the mental acuity. But you know, it's around here when you say this is 18, and this is 40, let's say, and like around 26, 20, 24 to 32 is where your brain and your body match up at the best. And maybe like artists, it's a little bit different. It's kind of like, well, and we're talking doing a monthly comic book also. We're not talking about someone taking a break after the 6th month. You know, there are some fill-in issues, but he was going strong in that Avengers series, and it was awesome. It is probably my favorite stuff that he did overall. How big is your DC stack this week? It's actually not that bad. There are some third covers because of oh no, that was last week. I don't think there is even that much. There's like one extra variant cover, so it's not that bad. But we'll hook you up with something else. I think there's something else for you. I don't know anything about the Asian guy who joined the Black Panthers, though. Wasn't that current 3D man? That was one of the run of Avengers, basically. Yeah, he kind of was, actually. Yeah. I forget how that ended up, but I really enjoyed that character, 3D man. And yeah, there was like this space religion, and he was working the magic of the 3D, the pyramid or something like that. My buddy George, when I was growing up, he said his parents were into that religion where they believe like in the pyramid. And like they would put fruit in it, and it, you know, in the pyramid, and like it will keep it longer and stuff like that. I forget what that one was called. This is such a big religion episode. Oh, Frank show. Get Fight Girls. That was a good fun one. Oh, did she do a self-insert? Well, that's what the kids do these days. I'm not going to go to Mother's Basement with you all today. It was just going to be these Spider-Mans, the drug issues. But we talked that to death anyway. The important thing about the drug issues was that the anti-narcotics or whatever the hell mad of the day wanted Stan Lee to do a drug story. Which, you know, taught the evils of drugs. And, you know, this was like, I don't know if there was money involved, probably. But, you know, he included it in these 3 issues of Spider-Man that he wrote. And they got the censor. And it's so weird. I don't even know who censors these people, because the comic companies were the ones that created the Comic Code Authority. But so it's all work. That's what it is. It's all a work. They were so worried about seduction of the innocent that they censored themselves before government even did it. So yeah, they took the symbol off, even though, you know, something very good was being done. The evils of drugs were being taught to kids, and they took that authority, the code off. They also, one of my favorites, and I know there's a lot of people out there that like to poo-poo it, but shame on you, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, when they did Green Lantern and Green Arrow. At the end of that storyline, Green Arrow, who's like this ultra liberal, and he really cares about everybody, and he's like yelling at Green Lantern and calling him all sorts of names. You only care about, men and men with money and the ruling class, and he might have even called him something worse. But they get home and his ward Speedy is doing speed. It's like, in this one, the dudes are doing pills and they're acting like it's acid or they're high on pot or something like that. But dude's like got a syringe and his guys works out. What a difference 3 or 4 years makes and what you're willing to do. Well, we got to up them Marvel guys. We got to show them how edgy we can be. I wonder who the self-insert in that story was. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This was a fun show. I'm going to try and get some guests later on. It will be fun, but until that happens, it's just going to be this little routine, me talking about stuff. I didn't even talk about poor Joss Whedon, but by next week it won't even matter. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I want to put a scroll for our Patreon members. We lost one. Who was it? JCB, I think we lost. So this will be the last month for that person. Thank you, JCB, for being a patron as long as you have. It is helping our store out immensely. It's going to help us pay off some bills. It allowed me to get, the camera that I'm using. When we had no money coming in during the close down, we had some money through our patrons, people that sent in money orders. What was the name of that company? Bink. Geez, I'm a horrible person for forgetting. That one that gave us half of the earnings that they made off their books, and we'll get that one next time. I want to say thank you to all our patrons, though, mostly because it's been concurrent, and it's really awesome. I know some of you are customers from the past, some of you are people that watch the show, and some of you are just friends of mine. Thank you very much. And you don't have to keep on doing this, but it's awesome that you do. But even better, if you are local or are going to be in town, come on into Berkeley and say hi. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. I love talking comics. I do it all the time. And it's a fun hobby, even though I sometimes get a little down and it's not so, it can be tough, talking about the same Batman, bitching about Batman and all the different X-Men books. But thank you everybody in chat. You've LK especially, you've really made it me able to answer some questions. So thank you very much. I'm going to leave you with this Michael Nesmith video, Mike Nesmith, he who was of the Monkees, and like so many people this year, but this was last year died. Bummer.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the treats from a kid named Cisco,
trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions. And just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona were trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous Sunset Sam. Yes, sir.